Did you know that one gang leader escaped a high-security prison only to be killed in a dramatic police shootout just days later?
Gang leader Ernesto Alberto was killed by security forces on Thursday morning.
From a gang boss who ran an empire from his cell to members enforcing brutal rules that led to deadly consequences, these stories reveal the shocking lives of notorious gang members behind bars. Here are 10 gang members instantly killed in prison. 1. Ezekiel Romo. Ezekiel "Wicked" Romo, the former leader of the Blythe Street Gang in Panorama City, was stabbed to death by 3 inmates at Centinela State Prison in July 2024. Romo, 47, was serving a life sentence without parole for murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy. Romo was attacked by Christian Moreno, Johnny S. Garcia, and Christian O. Hernandez in a prison day room. Guards used pepper spray to stop them, but Romo died 2 hours later. Romo had been released from prison in 2014 after 18 years for manslaughter. When he returned to Panorama City, he worked to take full control of Blythe Street and align it with the Mexican Mafia. Witnesses said he used violence to remove snitches and disloyal members. One of his first crimes was ordering the murder of a drug dealer, Felipe Delgado, to avoid paying for cocaine. Even from prison, Romo controlled the gang using a contraband cell phone. He also orchestrated the murder of Isidro Topo Alba, a gang rival, in a brutal shooting at a Target parking lot. Romo's leadership style was intense, and he referred to himself as a general building an empire. However, his relationships were rocky. He eventually ordered the murder of his right-hand man, Oscar "Smokey" Molina, for lying and drug use. 2. Michael Torres. Michael Mosca Torres, a high-ranking Mexican Mafia member, was stabbed to death at California State Prison, Sacramento.
Martinez attacked and killed 59-year-old Michael Torres, 133-year sentence for a list of crimes including attempted murder.
In July 2023. Torres, 59, was serving a 133-year sentence for attempted murder, conspiracy, and other crimes. He was attacked by 2 inmates, Ray Martinez and Juan Angel Martinez, who were also serving life sentences. Torres was a big name in the San Fernando Valley, where he controlled gangs, drug deals, and extortion operations. He joined the Mexican Mafia in 1994, sponsored by one of its founders, Luis Güero Buff Flores. Known for his ambition, Torres worked his way to the top, but made plenty of enemies along the way. In the early 2000s, Torres became the tax collector for the Mexican Mafia in the Valley. Gangs and drug dealers had to pay him a share of their earnings. Witnesses said he made thousands of dollars every week and even invested the money in businesses and real estate. Torres wasn't afraid to use violence to maintain power. In 2003, he shot a man named David Diablo Mendoza, accusing him of pretending to be a Mexican Mafia member. That same night, Torres ordered his men to attack someone else, but the victim escaped. Torres kept control even while in jail, using contraband phones to run rackets and collect money. 3. Ronald Joseph. On February 12, 2008, Ronald Joseph, a 29-year-old inmate, was found dead in his cell at USP Beaumont. An autopsy revealed he had been strangled, and his death was caused by asphyxia from pressure on his neck. Investigators determined that 2 fellow inmates, James Sweeney and Harry Lee Napper, were responsible for the murder. Joseph's death was tied to gang activity. Sweeney was the leader of Dead Man Incorporated, a prison gang. He and Napper conspired to kill Joseph, though the exact reasons were not revealed. In 2011, both were charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and second-degree murder. Sweeney later pleaded guilty in 2012 to racketeering and murder charges. As part of a deal, the first-degree murder charge was dropped, but he was sentenced to life in prison. Napper received a decades-long sentence for his involvement. Sweeney is now serving his sentence at USP Victorville, while Napper is at MDC Brooklyn. The case highlights the dangerous environment in high-security prisons, where gang violence often leads to deadly conflicts. 4. Joseph Hutchinson. Joseph Hutchinson, known as Capone, was an enforcer for the San Fer gang and worked closely with Mexican Mafia leader Michael Torres. Hutchinson was stabbed to death in his jail cell in August 2023 at the Men's Central Jail in Los Angeles. He was 51 years old. His death happened just 1 month after Torres was killed at a state prison in Sacramento, leading many to believe the two murders were connected. Hutchinson played a key role in Torres's gang operations. He sold drugs, collected money, and enforced Torres's orders both in jail and on the streets of the San Fernando Valley. He was known for tracking down people who owed Torres money, like one drug dealer who Hutchinson found at a Walmart and demanded $1,800 from. Hutchinson's reputation was feared, with people in the jail system frequently mentioning his name. However, his work often brought violence. In one case, his crew targeted the wrong man, Peter Zeeler, thinking he was someone else. Zeeler was shot and killed, and members of the crew were later convicted of his murder. 5. Anthony Williams. Anthony Williams, a member of the white supremacist prison gang Aryan Warriors, was killed during a brawl at Nevada's Ely State Prison in August 2024. Williams, 41, was one of 3 inmates stabbed to death during the fight, which also left 9 others injured. Authorities say the violence is still under investigation. The other 2 men killed were Connor Brown, 22, and Zachariah Luce, 42. Luce was a leader in the Aryan Warriors, the same gang as Williams. Both men had been involved in serious crimes tied to the gang, including murder and drug trafficking. Williams was serving a life sentence without parole for his role in the 2016 murder of Andrew Ryan Thurgood at High Desert State Prison. He pleaded guilty in 2021, avoiding the death penalty. Luce, meanwhile, was serving up to 18 years for racketeering and forgery charges. Brown, the youngest victim, was serving 7 to 20 years for stabbing a gas station clerk and a casino patron in 2020. The fight broke out at 9:40 a.m., but authorities haven't said what started it. None of the prison guards were injured during the brawl. Ely State Prison, where the fight happened, is Nevada's maximum security prison and houses nearly 1,200 inmates, including those on death row. The prison has faced criticism in the past for harsh conditions, including extreme temperatures and inadequate food. In December 2022, some inmates protested by going on a hunger strike. The stories so far have been shocking, but the ones ahead take it to another level. You'll hear about a gang leader who controlled an empire from his cell, a dangerous escape that ended in a firefight. 6. Alberto Martinez. Alberto Martinez, a 46-year-old gang member on death row, was stabbed to death at Calipatria State Prison in October 2024. Martinez was attacked by 3 other inmates, Tyler Lua, Jorge Negrete Larios, and Luis Beltran, while in the yard. Prison staff used pepper spray and a baton to stop the attack, but Martinez was pronounced dead about an hour later. Martinez was convicted of kidnapping and murdering David Montemayor in 2002. He was also guilty of other crimes, like conspiracy to commit murder and street terrorism. His sentence included death for first-degree murder, as well as life in prison for attempted murder. During his trial, it was revealed that Martinez and 3 other gang members were hired to kill Montemayor because his sister, Deborah Perna, didn't want him to take over their family business. The attack happened around 1:23 p.m. when Lua knocked Martinez to the ground and started hitting him. After Lua stepped back, Negrete Larios and Beltran joined in, using homemade weapons to stab Martinez. Martinez didn't fight back and was left motionless on the ground. 2 weapons were found at the scene, but no other inmates or staff were injured. Lua, 25, Negrete Larios, 33, and Beltran, 31, are all serving sentences for violent crimes, including murder and attempted murder, with gang activity enhancements. They have been placed in restricted housing while the incident is investigated by prison officials and the Imperial County District Attorney. 7. Danny Roman. Danny Roman, a leader of the Mexican Mafia, was killed in May 2020 at the Substance Abuse Treatment Facility and State Prison in Corcoran. Roman, 64, was stabbed to death by 2 inmates, Raul Alvarado and Edward Cisneros, using homemade weapons. He died from multiple stab wounds to his face and body within minutes. Both attackers are serving life sentences for separate murders. Roman was a powerful figure in the Mexican mafia, even running gang operations from inside Pelican Bay State Prison, one of California's most secure prisons. He was serving a life sentence for first-degree murder, but continued to control gangs in South Los Angeles from behind bars. In 2012, federal prosecutors charged over 20 people with crimes tied to Roman's control of multiple gangs. While Roman himself wasn't charged, officials said he gave orders through his daughter, Viana Roman, and her husband. They passed on his commands to gang members, who carried out crimes like drug dealing, robberies, and murders. Viana was later sentenced to 15 years in federal prison during an investigation nicknamed Operation Roman Empire. Roman's death could be linked to internal gang conflicts, though officials haven't confirmed if the killers were from the same gang. A retired gang investigator warned that if this wasn't an internal hit, it might spark more violence. 8. Leo Johns. On March 3, 2014, Leo Johns, a member of the white supremacist prison gang Soldiers of Aryan Culture, SAC, was stabbed to death at USP Beaumont. The attack was carried out by two fellow gang members, Ricky Fackrell and Christopher Kramer. All three men were part of SAC, but Fackrell and Kramer claimed Johns broke gang rules by gambling and drinking, which are forbidden for members. The two attackers decided Johns needed to be punished. While Fackrell's lawyer argued they only planned to assault him, the attack turned deadly. Both men stabbed Johns, and he died from his injuries. After an investigation, Fackrell and Kramer were charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. In 2018, Fackrell and Kramer were convicted and sentenced to death for killing Johns. At first, they were held at ADX Florence, the most secure federal prison in the U.S., but they were later transferred to USP Terre Haute, where federal death row inmates are housed. This case shows how gang rules are enforced even in prison, often with brutal consequences. Breaking the rules or crossing the wrong people can quickly turn fatal in these violent environments. 9. Ernesto Alfredo Piñón de la Cruz. Ernesto Alfredo Piñón de la Cruz, known as El Neto, was the leader of the Los Mexicles gang in Mexico. He escaped from Cerezo No. 3 prison in Ciudad Juarez during a violent attack on January 1, 2023, but was killed in a shootout with police just days later, on January 5th. The escape happened early in the morning when a group of gunmen arrived in armored vehicles and opened fire on the prison guards. At the same time, inmates inside started a riot. The attack left 10 guards, 7 inmates, and 2 gunmen dead. 13 others were injured, and 4 attackers were arrested. During the chaos, at least 30 inmates escaped, including El Neto. El Neto was a powerful and dangerous gang leader. He was blamed for Black Thursday, a deadly day in August 2022 when 10 people were killed in a wave of violence. After his escape, police began hunting down the escapees, leading to more violence. On January 3rd, state investigators found some of the escapees, resulting in a shootout that left 5 gunmen and 2 officers dead. A couple of days later, in the early hours of January 5th, law enforcement tracked down El Neto. Another shootout happened, and he was killed. 10. Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf, one of the co-founders of the Indian Posse gang, was murdered in Saskatchewan Penitentiary on January 4, 2010, while serving a life sentence. His death marked the violent end of a life filled with crime and gang activity. In 2007, Wolf got into a fight at a bar in Fort Qu'Appelle with Bernard Pascal, a member of the rival Native Syndicate gang. Later that night, Wolf broke into Pascal's house and started shooting. He killed 2 people, Michael Itidacus and Marvin Arnault, and injured 3 others, including Pascal. Wolf's violent outburst was reportedly fueled by his ego and his inability to handle being insulted. In 2008, while awaiting trial for the murders, Wolf escaped from the Regina Correctional Center. He was on the run for 3 weeks, living recklessly in Winnipeg. Police eventually arrested him after someone tipped them off. His escape and capture gained a lot of media attention at the time. In 2009, Wolf was convicted of 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Just a few months later, another inmate killed Wolf in prison. So, which story shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss more stories like this.